We're gonna break the record.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the Wizard's Tower. Today we're going to be looking at this fraction strip here and talking about the different ways that we can name it. We're going to talk about something a little bit new to us in our class. We're going to be talking about decimals. And decimals are a special type of fraction. In fact, and sometimes you'll hear me talk about them as decimal fractions. Why? Because decimals are a special type of fraction that fit really nicely in with what we already know about numbers, the way that we typically write numbers when we're looking at our place value chart. So let's first just look at this fraction strip, and we'll say that all of this is one whole. Didn't really leave myself much room there. One whole. What would we do to figure this out as a fraction? Well, we'd count how many boxes there are in all, because that's going to tell us our denominator. How many does it take to make a whole? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are 10 of these little boxes in a whole, and each of these is one of those boxes. So each of these is 1/10. And now, if you remember anything about our last unit, you'd be able to tell me that we have then, all right, 1/10, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6/10 are shaded in. But today we're going to add in this little step about decimals. How do decimals connect to this? Let's think about our place value chart for a second. We start off with our ones place, and next comes our tens place. And in order to make 1/10, we need to have 10 ones, right? In order to get to a 10, we need a group of 10 ones. And then next we have our hundreds. And in order to get from our tens to our hundreds, it's the same thing. We need 10 groups of 10 to make 100. And then to get from ones to hundreds, we'd need 100 of them, right? These names are pretty helpful in telling us how many ones we need to make them. But what about when we go to the other side? How do we talk about using our place value chart a number smaller than one whole? Well, it's going to be the same thing. We're going to follow this times 10 rule. We're going to follow this times 10 rule. To go left on our place value chart, we're multiplying by 10, and to go back to the right, we are dividing by 10. So if I have one of these, I have one, what we call 10th. 1/10. And it takes 10 tenths to make one whole. And we write those as a decimal. So normally we might write, if we're writing 1, we'd write it this way. If we were writing 1/10, we write it, here's my decimal point. We write it 0 ones, because I don't have a whole here, and 1/10. So because our place value chart, because our number system is based on this 10, because it's based on this 10, 1/10 is a really special type of fraction because we can also write it as a decimal. So let's take a look at this and name each of these pieces. So here we have 1/10, right, which we can also write as 0 decimal point 1, saying 1/10. Here we would have 2/10, which we could write as 0 decimal point 2, 2/10, and then 3/10, 0 decimal point 3, 4/10, 0 decimal point 4, and 5/10, 0 decimal point 5. And then we arrive at our actual answer. How much do we have here? 6/10, or we could also write that as 0.6. So to answer the question, how much do we have? We can say smartly with a fraction, 6/10, or with a decimal fraction, 0.6, which is just another way of saying 6/10. Good luck as you practice some of these today. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm here to help, and I wouldn't advise using a super speed spell to get your math work done. They really aren't working out very well for me.